给我中的是我穿的啊，我没有读，上了什么？我中的反正还有为什么我的这个不换了？
Well, hello again, everyone, and welcome back to another live edition of On the Go this week, right here on Driving to the Top Productions, where I'm Haas and I'm bringing the sauce again. What's up, everybody, on this special Thursday edition? It's January 22nd, 2026. Thank you for everyone tuning in last night on my usual weekly one. And tonight, we're going to do a special NFL divisional round recap, NFC AFC Championship prediction edition. Before we go any further, real quick, you know what to do. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Follow me on Facebook, Instagram. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on X at BigHoss337. This show you can find on X and Instagram at onthego_TXLA. Driving to the Top Productions, you know where to find them as well. Presented by Poggers and presented by Rogue Energy, the vitamin supplement and gaming drinks of this show. Pick your poison. The promo code is right there, OTG, to get 10% off of your order, whether you choose rogueenergy.com or download that app or go to poggers.shop. Tell them I sent you. Well, I'm not going to waste any time. We got a special guest. Matter of fact, this guy's team is playing in the NFC Championship game this weekend. He's a familiar face. I think this is the second time he's on the show. So welcome back from his show, the Hawkeyes Podcast. You can find him in Canada, but he's repping Seattle, the 206 Seahawks, Washington Huskies especially. I'm pretty sure he can answer your questions if it involves the Kraken, the Sounders, or even the Mariners. Mr. Bryce Coots is in the house. Welcome back, man. It's been a while. How you been?
I've been great, Haas. How are you, my friend?
I am doing fantastic, and we already got comments coming in. You got Holy Sasquatch, Go Hawks. We got Drizzle. What's up, Jack? What's up, Jack Wagon, huh? I like that. So, yeah, I mean, I guess for you, I guess it feels like 2014-15 all over again because you guys are just one step closer being the kings of the NFC. And how's it feel right now to be back on top and just one win away of going back to the Super Bowl?
It's an interesting feeling because for this franchise for a while, it's been kind of a state of purgatory, right? We went through the Pete Carroll era after that. Success early on with that LOB era team to a team that just never seemed like we could get over the hump. We could never, get to where we needed to. We'd get a wild card win and we'd lose in divisional round. We'd, get to the wild card and lose. And, to finally have a dominant defense again in Seattle, to have a coach that is considered one of the top coaches in the NFL, it's really kind of brought life back to the organization in a lot of ways and to the fan base in a lot of ways. And I think that's one of the most, important pieces to this is what Mike Macdonald has brought to Seattle, to the organization, to the fan base, because there's one thing about Seahawks football and the 12s and everything. We love a great defense and we love a running game. And this team has both of them right now clicking, but it's just been so refreshing to have it back in this area because, I don't know if last year, Haas, if you were paying attention much, but there was a whole big controversy in Seattle about the fans and going to the games and how many opposing teams fans were there. I can tell you this firsthand that has changed dramatically this year to being back to the way it used to be with the Seahawk fans, the 12s being in the stadium. Like this last game against the 49ers, it was practically all green and blue. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Rams deal with that this Sunday with this place probably going to be rocking and creating earthquakes like they did on the Shaheed kickoff and for Beastquake.
I got to say, I think I've been told y'all were kind of the Oregon Ducks of the NFL when y'all got the new uniform looks and everything, but what y'all had recently, I forgot what they called it, but it's I forgot what game it was. You might know what I'm talking about. It was some special looking uniforms y'all wore. Those were the hardest uniforms I saw. The helmets looked like an emerald metallic green up close. They were like grayish, but it had some of that like green neon and blue in it. Like it kind of faded in, but like I don't know what they call it, but I forgot what game it was. It was like one of the last 2 games of the season y'all wore it.
It was actually us versus the Rams in rivalry, the new rivalry jerseys that they brought out this year. And yeah, they did a really good job with those for the Seahawks. And yeah, it's interesting having just the vibe back in the city, man. And just like, I'm going to be lucky enough to be down there. I won't unfortunately be at the game because tickets are an insane price, but I will be in the area on Sunday. And I'm looking forward to wherever I end up watching it, just being surrounded with a bunch of 12s. And, I feel whoever wins this game on Sunday is probably going to be the team that wins the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah. Now, is that just a thing? Y'all call it rivalry uniforms, or this is like a new thing the NFL's doing?
It is a new thing the NFL did this year called the rivalry uniforms. And it's like the new branding that they're going with it, which I think is fine. And again, like I don't know why they called them that, but they did. And they went with it. And there's, I think, 8 more teams or 4 more teams will have them next year. Another division will have them. And it's kind of like this divisional thing that they do every year. So I think it's 8 teams next year. So 2 divisions will have them again.
So, that kind of explains. So the 49ers had those black uniforms.
Yep.
The Cardinals had those desert looking uniforms.
Correct.
And I don't know what the hell the Rams had. And you know what?
They called them the midnight blue ones.
Midnight blue.
Yeah.
Well, I know the Saints didn't really get no rivalry uniform. You call it what they've gotten this season was they brought back something they did once in 2002. They brought back the gold jerseys that they wore twice. They wore them with the combo they debuted them with, black helmets with black pants against the Cardinals week 1. And then their final home game, I was able to see that gold jersey in person, but I thought it blended better with the gold pants that they did against the Jets. They did black helmet, gold jersey, gold pants. And I said, that looks way better than with black pants. But I mean, they look both either way, but I'd rather gold on gold. That was a sick look.
I gotta admit, I really did like your guys' gold style jerseys. I thought they were different enough. I found myself where I was like, these are kind of a cool throwback. And that's why I like Seattle's throwback so much. The ones that they've got, they're kind of a cool, it's cool to bring back that heritage kind of to the game. So, and just, better than some of the ketchup and mustard jerseys we've seen when they did Color Rush.
Yeah, Saints still wear those, but they finally got white helmets to blend with it, and it looks so much better instead of the black helmet when they did them Color Rushes. I'd rather the white helmet with that on our end. But no, let's talk about that game y'all had, because maybe you can answer this one for me too. Why is it that every time there's an opposing team, whether if it's on TikTok, Instagram, a reel, whatever, Facebook Live, before they get out the tunnel, they want to all talk shit, do like a hype video, or get all hyped up and run out just to get blown out 41-6. This ain't the first team that happened to, but it's like a trend, whether if it's high school, college, or the pros. Don't make nothing like that if you don't want to get embarrassed in front of a nationwide audience.
Yeah, I don't get the 49ers beatbox thing or whatever it is. I have no idea why they do that. It's something they've done for a while, but I agree with you. Don't do something that's going to bring extra attention to yourself just to watch what happened. Because I'll be honest, like going into that game, I was kind of the opinion, like, is this going to be a game that's going to be maybe closer for the first half than, people expect, because Seattle's going to come out and they're going to try and feel their way through the first half. And all of a sudden to watch Rashid Shaheed take back that opening kickoff and
that was insane.
Just to see the crowd, the Seahawks, the whole atmosphere there, it was like, yeah, okay, the 49ers are done. And the point for me where I was really like, okay, the 49ers are done. Like, this isn't going to be a game. Seattle's about to just boat race them, was when Kyle Shanahan decided on their first 49er possession to go for it on 4th and 1, and he runs the speed option with Kyle Juszczyk into the boundary. And it's just like, that's one of the best offensive minds came up with was, hey, let's run the speed option into the boundary. It's to me, that was kind of a moment of a like, yeah, okay, Kyle Shanahan's rattled. This whole thing's in a state of being rattled. Like, it's about to be over very quickly.
When I saw Shaheed return that kickoff for 97 yards, I went in a group text and said, sucks he couldn't do this with the Saints.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Like, getting him from you guys was a huge bonus to us this year, because I feel like if Seattle had been able to acquire Shaheed, there might have been a few other games that we didn't win this year. He had that kind of an impact.
Well, I remember the last time you came on, we did a preview of the Saints going to the Seattle Week 3. That's actually when they debuted the white helmets. And I almost brought you back on because you got me twice this season. Not only did they beat the Saints earlier this year, on a Monday night in October, y'all also beat another team I cover on the show, in the Houston Texans. Y'all beat them 27-19.
Yeah, and to be honest, it was funny because that Texans game, in my opinion, like, early on in the season, a lot of people looked at it and went, okay, the Texans are good, but, how good are the Texans? And their defense is awesome. And then you come back and you see later on in the year, they ended up being a playoff team. They ended up being one of the best defenses in the NFL. And to be honest, in my opinion, if they had any sort of offense, they potentially are playing this weekend, because I didn't look at New England in that game this past weekend and go, wow, like New England beat the brakes off of Houston. It was Houston's offense just couldn't help their defense out. And so this is where, for me, I look at it and I go, that was a win earlier in the year. I think people kind of went, oh, okay, they beat up on a bad team, to later in the year going, wow, like they really beat one of the best defenses in the NFL. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting situation for sure.
Yeah, I got to talk some numbers in this blowout win. Sam Darnold went 12 for 17. He had 124 passing yards. He did throw one touchdown pass to it was JSN. Which, can you I don't want to say the name wrong. Can you pronounce that last name right for me? I kept saying Jackson Smith Njigba.
Yeah, so it's Jackson Smith Njigba.
Njigba. I kept saying Njigba. Njigba. And I know he's from Texas. Like, he was from Texas, played at Ohio State. He was drafted, about a year, 2 years ago to Seattle. He was in the first round. Hell of a player. Probably the best receiver, not just in the NFC. Might be the number one receiver in the league right now.
I would argue this year he was the best receiver in the NFL this year.
Yeah. I know he didn't lead in receiving in that game, but former Ram and Cooper Kupp did. He had 5 catches for 60 yards, even though JSN had the only touchdown in the receiving game with 3 catches for 19 yards. But I got to say, JSN, a season he's had going into the NFC Championship, so far, he's only, 7 yards from 1,800 receiving yards. And he's already had 10 touchdowns on 119 catches, averaging 15 yards per catch.
Yeah, and that's the thing. JSN, if he hadn't had the couple of down games he had, like the Minnesota game and that, there was a real conversation that he could have, potentially gotten to Calvin Johnson's record of over, 2 yards in the season. The thing I'll say about JSN this year, and I think it's one of the more refreshing things about him, just as a person, as a player, the yards and stuff really truly are kind of not meaningless, but on the back burner for him compared to team success. And I think that speaks volumes when you look at some of the guys that left Seattle this year, DK Metcalf and some of the other players over the years, where success personally mattered more than team success. It's refreshing to have guys that are so focused on the team first and know that, hey, if we do the right things and we win, I'll get my numbers as they come.
Yeah. But another player y'all got, I feel like maybe he gets a lot of love and appreciation up in the Northwest, but it's like Kenneth Walker. I feel like he's a great running back, but I feel like he don't get the recognition he's gotten. I mean, I know he just got over the 1,000-yard mark for the first time in 3 years. I know last year he only had 500 total rushing yards, where this year he hit over the 1,000-yard mark on just out of 17 games he played. He had 221 carries. and he had over 1,000 rushing yards. Where in that game alone, I know he was over the 100-yard mark. I think he was at 110, 15 or something like that. But he had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game on just 19 carries.
Yeah, and again, this is the thing about the load management for K9 this year. A lot of us, myself included, I've been a very big K9, supporter, and I think
great nickname for him.
Oh, yeah, you got a couple of them. You got JSN, you got K9, but like with K9, the thing I really appreciate with him is just his ability to be so impactful and explosive. And that's nothing against Zach Charbonnet. I love Charbonnet, and it's unfortunate that he did have the injury that he did sustain this past weekend. But there's things that he just can't do because he's not the athlete that Kenneth Walker is. And, Kenneth Walker now played a full season. He's over 1,000 yards rushing, but now you kind of get to essentially unleash him a little bit on the NFL where it's like, hey, there's not going to be necessarily as much of a timeshare. We're going to go see what happens now when we let K9 fully loose over these, potentially the last 2 games of the season, for sure this one. And what he can do out of the backfield as a receiver, what he does as a running back, it's things that he can do that just change an offense. And it's, again, allows us to be more effective. It takes some pressure off of Sam. But yeah, 19 carries, 116 yards. He had 145 total yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, he tied a Seahawks franchise record for postseason rushing touchdowns dating back to when Sean Alexander did it in 2003 versus the Green Bay Packers in the infamous "we want the ball and we're going to score" game with Matt Hasselbeck. But that's kind of the impact K9 can have, and I expect him to have as big of impact this Sunday versus the Rams.
Oh, yeah. And then another one. I think the one that kind of surpassed me all, Sam Darnold. But I didn't give him as much credit as much as I'm going to give him now because of, like, where he's been his entire career. I mean, he's been in the league like 6-7 years. 6-7. I ain't doing that. Nope. He got drafted to the Jets, then went to Carolina, then at one point was with the 49ers, and then he was with the Vikings. I mean, look where all that – maybe he had some type of success in Minnesota, but not that kind of success. But I feel like ever since that trade happened, when he go to Seattle, I felt like he found his calling in Seattle. Like, I feel like he's glad to be there. He wants to be there. He's got targets to throw to. He's got a run game. He can scramble in the pocket. He can do it all. I can consider him a veteran now because he's been in the league for, like, I think it's 2018 was when he got drafted to the Jets. So you could kind of say he's a veteran and could finally get to the Super Bowl. Y'all can get past the Rams. But with having Sam Darnold there, I mean, I know there was a lot of negative. I'm not talking about in Seattle. I'm talking about like all over the country when they were like, oh, that's a dumb trade. Like, why don't y'all just go with Jalen Milroe taking over or whoever else y'all had a quarterback? But talk about the love he got now compared to what he got during week 1.
So, yeah, when we decided to trade Geno this offseason and move off of Geno, and then they signed Sam Darnold to free agency, it was an interesting move because everyone in the national media, after how Sam finished last year with Minnesota, really kind of viewed it as a lateral or a step back for the Seahawks organization in a lot of ways. I was of the opposite view where I went, this I think is an upgrade. You're getting a younger quarterback, almost 10 years younger. You're getting a, quarterback that's coming off a stellar season, a season of growth for them, to come into a system where there is an elite defense. You're going to be playing within a similar scheme that you already just had a 14-win season and successful season in, and you've got some weapons. Now, I didn't see the first half of the season kind of production that he put up, where we're talking about an MVP. We're talking about one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And it did taper off in the back half of the season, which, does happen. But Seattle essentially, in my opinion, went from having an aging quarterback in Geno Smith, who at some points was playing as a top 10 quarterback statistically, to my opinion, actually getting a top 10 NFL quarterback in Sam Darnold, who you now have under club control for the next 2 seasons. And I expect it to be longer than that. I expect Seattle to probably extend Sam Darnold at the end of next season. And, the whole quarterback room in Seattle is, I think, in a good place. You've got Drew Lock, who is a very competent quarterback. You've got, Jalen Milroe, who you took in this year's draft, who doesn't have to do anything. He just gets to sit and learn and develop, which I think is the best thing for him. So, overall, my frustration with the NFL national media at this point is just how frequently they move the goalposts on what Sam Darnold accomplishes to, well, he hasn't done this yet, so he's still not there. But the week going into it, it's like, if he does this, he's going to arrive as one of the top 10, and then all of a sudden it's moved again. And this is what's so frustrating, I think, for a lot of Seahawks fans too, is stop moving the goalpost, accept the fact that Sam Darnold isn't the guy that was in New York. He isn't the guy that's in Carolina. And he's just a good quarterback now in the NFL. Now, I'm not sitting here saying he is an elite franchise quarterback and one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL, but he is a franchise quarterback. He is a top 10 quarterback in the NFL. And more people just kind of need to realize that the top 4 or 5 guys are special for a reason. There's a reason there's only 4 or 5 of them out of 32 NFL teams. But then the guys 6 through 10 can still win you a Super Bowl. And Sam Darnold has the opportunity to do that this Sunday.
A list I saw, this is what I saw is what they have as their top 5 QBs as of right now. May have to change a bit. This is what I saw. From 5 to 1, they got Drake May, CJ Stroud, Josh Allen, Matthew Stafford, and Caleb Williams from 5 to 1.
Yeah.
I know.
To me, I don't know, Haas. I'm a little tired of that whole narrative in that situation. I think, when you look at, in my opinion, the MVP of the NFL this year is probably going to be Matthew Stafford or Drake May, right? It's kind of where
I would say Drake May. I say Drake May. I think I thought it should be at least in the top 2 if you're going to have him as an MVP candidate.
It's one of those things where I look at that and I go, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I know people want to throw Josh Allen into it, but football, and this is the one thing I always come back to, it's a team sport. You can have an elite quarterback. If you have no other pieces around him and he's not willing to play within the structure of the team, you're not going anywhere. And you look at Buffalo in this past, weekend with Denver. Yeah, Denver has a better defense. Denver has a better running game in some aspects. As a team, they are better. You had a top 5 NFL quarterback, if not one of the top 3 NFL quarterbacks, definitely the top quarterback left in the playoffs, and he wasn't able to stop Denver from going down the field and scoring. So I get the narrative of, let's get one of these top guys, these generational guys. Cool. If you go back and look through the list of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, Terry Bradshaw wasn't a generational talent. He won 4 Super Bowls. Joe Montana, I wouldn't sit there. He's one of the greatest winning quarterbacks in NFL history. He wasn't a generational talent. It wasn't like Joe had this amazing arm or could run around everybody. Tom Brady wasn't a generational talent when it came to the physical attributes. What set them apart was their preparation and their ability to play within the scheme and structure they were asked to. Tom Brady's first 3 Super Bowls, it was, hey, Tom, don't turn the ball over. Let our defense and Bill Belichick go win football games and just make a couple of key throws here and there. And he won 3 Super Bowls before the age of 30. That's where this whole conversation on quarterbacks and this whole conversation on what's elite, what's a franchise, what's not, and how the narratives these national media members want to throw out there, to me, is just hot garbage consistently.
Yeah. But now I want to get your take on some of the other games that we've had over the weekend. I want to start with the Bills and the Broncos because there's just a lot that's going on with this after the game. On the Broncos side, they just shockingly announced that Bo Nix broke his fibula and he's not going to be the quarterback no more. I think Stidham, who used to be a Patriot, is going to take over the snaps. And then on Buffalo's end, you believe with all their drama, they fired their head coach, and people are now giving up on Josh Allen, thinking this was his only one-way ticket to get to the postseason or to get to the Super Bowl, because they believe with a healthy Patrick Mahomes in the near future, or maybe if Joe Burrow gets protection, he may not ever get this close or even get another shot to even have a chance to even get to the Super Bowl and finally win one for Buffalo. So give me your take with everything going on with that game and the aftermath.
It's really unfortunate what happened to Bo Nix. You don't ever want to see that happen for any sort of player. To have this opportunity to go to the Super Bowl taken away. And he's played good football this year. He hasn't been stellar, but he's played good football. It makes this weekend's game, I think, very, very difficult for the Denver Broncos to go in and win. You're asking a guy that hasn't really played much, hasn't been getting full NFL game reps to go in and try and win a game to put you into the Super Bowl and essentially go and try and win a Super Bowl, right? Because Bo Nix is done for the year. That's a lot to throw on somebody. And you might get the luxury where the first half of that game versus New England, they don't know what to expect with what is Stidham going to be able to do and what he's not going to be able to do. So it might be a little bit closer, but I expect by the end of it for New England to kind of run away with it because there's only so much a defense can do if your offense isn't at least competent enough to stay on the field and get some points. And I just don't know that the Broncos are going to be able to do that with Stidham at quarterback. On the flip side of that, like when I look at, New England in this matchup that's coming up, like they're playing good defense. It's not great. It's okay. It's good. The offense with Drake May and that is really what's kind of driving this team. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in this game this weekend.
Yeah, and then Patriots took down the Texans. They stopped that dominant defense, but I felt like it was C.J. Stroud that might have cost the Texans a trip to the AFC Championship. I mean, and plus your run game was not good. The O-line wasn't doing their job. They only had 84 total rushing yards, and did throw in a short touchdown pass, Charlie Kirk, CJ threw 4 interceptions in that whole game, and I think he just quit on them. But they can't get past the second round, and I don't know where D'Amico Ryan's going to go from here. I don't even know how long he's got left with the Texans because I said on last night, I said either D'Amico Ryan needs to get rid of him, bench him, put Mills starting, or go hunt for a quarterback. But I was highly disappointed in that loss. But I shouts to New England. They came ready to play. That defense was insane too.
Oh, it was. For me, like when I look at it, I'm
Christian
like,
Kirk, by the way. I said my mistake. I said Charlie. It's Christian Kirk.
yes.
Every time I hear Kirk, I got to throw away Charlie's name. I'm sorry.
When I look at it, I'm kind of in the situation for New England where, again, like I said, Houston's defense did everything they could. If that offense could have actually functioned, and again, this is going to be interesting with Stroud. Like, is he the guy for Houston? Do they continue down this path, or do they pivot to something else? Like, we're talking about a guy now where they fired Bobby Slowick. They said he was the problem, and the same issues persisted with Stroud. Like, do you make it an open QB competition next year for Davis Mills and CJ Stroud? Because Mills was able to keep this team functional through the back half of the season. Do you say, hey, Stroud, you're playing for your job now? This isn't given to you anymore. Because I don't know what else Houston can do in D'Amico Ryans. You can't be, held back by your quarterback when you have a generational defense.
And then last but not least, I mean, y'all know who y'all facing, but to be honest, real talk, I was hoping Caleb Williams and the Bears would have pulled it off. Despite I don't care for both teams, especially the Rams, but it would have been nice to see something different that I haven't seen in how long it's been since the Bears went to a NFC Championship, like damn near 20 years. I think their last NFC title game was against the Saints in the 06-07 season. And despite my hatred for the Rams, and I'm going back, and it's sad it got brought up the other day. It was the 7-year anniversary of the no call in the NFC Championship with the Saints, where we got screwed, and everyone got screwed of a Drew Brees, Tom Brady Super Bowl we all wanted, and instead we got Jared Goff versus Tom Brady. But hell of a game, but I don't know how they get so lucky, because to be honest with you, I don't think the Rams are that damn good. You struggled with Carolina, of all teams. You struggle with the Bears. You're going to do worse than struggle with Seattle, especially in the 12th man or whatever nicknames y'all got for y'all stadium. I don't know how they keep getting away with it, but I think this is the end of the line for the Rams. But give me your take on that comeback the Rams had with the Bears.
Yeah. Again, I think if the Bears kick 2 field goals there and don't go for it, they win that football game. for me, when I look at the Rams, something's been off with that team, in my opinion, for the last few weeks here. They lost the Atlanta Falcons. They struggled with beating the Cardinals. They've struggled with Carolina in round one of the playoffs. Like, they're kind of just getting by. And I think a lot of it is they're getting by on their talent because they are a more talented team in a lot of areas. Like, I think they are more talented than Chicago. I think they're more talented than Carolina. But now you're running into a team in Seattle that's, I would say, on par, if not more talented than the Rams. And this is what's going to make it interesting. It's going to be the chess match between McVay and McDonald. It's going to make it interesting to see, how hungry is this Rams team to play in Seattle and play for an opportunity to go to the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying they're not going to be hungry, but there's something different in Seattle right now with the way this team just kind of views everything and how determined they are to get where they're going, which is an opportunity in Seattle. I don't know if you've seen it, Osh, but there's a really cool video done by the Seattle PR team where it's the first kind of few minutes of Mike McDonald's initial team meeting when he took over as Seahawks head coach in April of 2024, and talking about like visualizing what this game is coming up on Sunday. And there's just something different in that building. And the thing that's even scarier, I think, for a lot of teams is this isn't like a team that's just, like the Rams, where you got an aging quarterback and you've got, something. You're talking about a team here that is the third youngest team in the NFL, and their Super Bowl window is just opening.
Oh, yeah. And then let's talk about the weather. I know most of the country is about to have a severe winter storm. I know y'all get a lot of rain, but what's the weather supposed to look like for y'all this weekend? Y'all gonna get some cold, get some rain?
It's supposed to kind of be raining. It's supposed to kind of be, cold and windy. So it'll be interesting to see what the full weather report looks like come Sunday, because I think the rainier and the windier, the more Stafford will struggle.
Oh, wow. Well, hopefully that doesn't go on y'all's end. That way y'all can easily get another dominant performance at home and then go on to Santa Clara Levi Stadium or Bay Area for Super Bowl 60. Before we get to them predictions, I gotta ask real quick. I gotta get your take on Indiana with everything they've been through in their, not just for the last couple of years, but most of their football run as a franchise. They did the unthinkable and pulled off a 16-0 perfect season and win the national championship. And it was a hard run going through those teams like in Alabama, Ohio State, Alabama, and even like a Miami and stuff. Like, give me your reaction on how Indiana's season turned out to be, like a great storybook ending and even a great story to tell.
Oh, I thought it was absolutely fantastic for Indiana, because it kind of bucked the narrative of you need a whole bunch of NIL money to buy your team in college football right now. Like, they did it with a bunch of guys they recruited. They have a great foundation and great coach. It'll be interesting if they're able to keep that together and the way that they're building this going forward. But I think it was phenomenal to see that, because you had a team in Miami that had the big NIL quarterback and Carson Beck and a whole bunch of different things. That's kind of the new age of college football. To then have it go to a team that kind of built it the old way was kind of really refreshing to see. And personally, I enjoyed it. Now, I'm not one of the people that's massively in the camp of Mendoza's a number one, pick. I think he could be a good quarterback, but I don't think he's a number one overall pick. But he'll get put there because I think this year's, this year's draft is going to force teams to pick guys where they shouldn't be because of the lack of talent pool.
Okay. And on the transfer portal side, I guess Washington's safe. I know at one point y'all quarterback was going to enter the portal. I know LSU was interested in getting him, but he made a decision he's going to stay and play for the Huskies. And I looked at him as like a potential Heisman candidate for 2026. But how y'all feel about keeping y'all QB1 for another year?
Oh, that is a very hot topic in the Pacific Northwest, because that was a very ugly situation. a couple things play into that. Obviously, you're talking about a guy that announces he's going into the transfer portal a couple days after saying he's coming back and signing an NIL deal. He announces it at the time his teammates and coaches and a lot of the sporting community at the University of Washington is mourning the passing of one of the female soccer players. And I think this is why I think personally, Haas, this is why college football is broken right now.
NIL.
The NIL has broken it. I think, and it's made it so the point of these players don't appreciate the opportunity to get a really good education, play a sport that they love. It's all about money and dollar signs, which again, we're dealing with, 18, 19-year-old kids, not 30, mid-20s, 30-year-old guys in the NFL that have, full families and stuff that they're dealing with. And I think it kind of bleeds into what Tom Brady's been saying about the lack of development, especially at the quarterback position from college football up, is kids transferring when they don't get their way, kids doing this, and chasing the money bag and everything like that. I think it's going to be very hard for Williams to walk back into the University of Washington and be able to get respect from his teammates again for saying, yeah, peace, I'm out of here, to now, hey, yeah, follow me guys onto the field and we're going to go try and win a championship. Like, there's a lot of things that have to be able to be mended there. And the thing that I'm interested in is what's stopping him from doing this again next year and jumping back in the portal again. Like, that's kind of the thing. So
he got like 2 more years. I think he's going to be a junior the upcoming year, so he's got 2 more years of eligibility left. But yeah, when he announced he was going, Lane Kiffin and them were trying to get him.
Mm-hmm.
But when he announced he was going to go back to Seattle, he called an audible and went pick up Sam Levitt from Arizona State, because I think he was the highest. He wasn't the number 1 guy, but he was the highest quarterback available after the number 1 quarterback that entered the transfer portal. Is that one from Cincinnati? He's going to Texas Tech. I forgot his name, but he picked up 3. He picked up Sam Levitt, he picked up Landon Clark from Milan, and he picked up Huzon Longstreet from USC. So they got their quarterbacks.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how this all shapes up for the University of Washington, because I just look at it and I go, how do you win back a locker room after you said I'm bailing on it?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. Money ain't going to fix that either. Like, you're going to have to, it's going to hard to get a trust back or anything. I can't imagine the pressure he's going to have when he goes back on campus, especially when they get ready for spring and whatnot. But I think I may ask this. I know the answer for Washington, obviously, but as a Seahawks fan, who do y'all hate the most, the Rams or the 49ers?
49ers, at least for me. I hate the 49ers. Like, the Rams are the other rivalry, but the Rams rivalry kind of, in my opinion, comes and goes in a way. There is something about the 49ers that I just cannot stand that organization. I can't stand the colors. I hate the 49ers with a passion. To be honest, I hate everybody in the NFC West. So if any of the teams make the Super Bowl from the NFC West side, I'll never cheer for them. And if there's a Super Bowl with the Patriots, Cowboys, Steelers in it on that end against an NFC West team, I just don't give a shit and start betting parlays and stuff rather than actually watching the game for what it's worth. Because those are 3 teams I can't stand at the NFL level either. So, for me, it's 49ers, then Rams.
That would be a big middle finger to them, is like, we're going to the Super Bowl in your house. Can you imagine if we win it all in your house?
Trust me, it's something that's being talked about a lot right now in the NFC West content creators and fan bases, is how shitty this is for the 49ers, because either way, an NFC West team is going to be playing the Super Bowl in your stadium. And most people believe the 2 best teams are coming out of the NFC in the Rams and the Seahawks, whichever one ends up making the Super Bowl. There's a good chance the Rams or the Seahawks are going to be able to stake claim to they won the Super Bowl in your rival's house.
That's why I've said the no-call thing that happened with the Saints and the Rams was definitely planned and rigged. I think Atlanta had something to do with it, because that year the Super Bowl was in Atlanta, and that would have fierced them more if they'd been like, our most hated rival is playing for a championship in our own house, in our city. We don't want them there. Like, I think it was all rigged, and Atlanta had something to do with it. But I digress. But Yeah, so I believe I know who we're going here, but I gotta get a score prediction from you. We'll start with that game first, the NFC Championship. I'm gonna admit guilty. Yes, my hatred for the Rams too with what happened in 2019. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl, but I need a score prediction from you.
I just said it on my preview show. I think it's going to be 31-20 Seattle.
31-20. See that's a fair score. Like I could see it being like 37-28 or 37-30. Like it's gonna be close. Like they're gonna kind of scare us a bit, but defense wins, and I think Seattle got a way better defense than the Rams as they started.
I would agree with you on that.
And I want to see what the lineup is right now. Seattle -2.5. Ooh. If I were to bet, I'd probably would take. They could cover. Yeah, I think they could cover that. Depends how bad
There's a good
want.
chance. Yep.
I might just leave that alone. I'm not very good on FanDuel, to be honest with you. My history of using FanDuel is far none the worst. The Cleveland Browns probably got a better record than me right now with FanDuel, or even the Jets. Now, so I believe we're either going to get a Super Bowl 48 or 49 rematch, but the AFC Championship, are the Broncos going to shock people and dig them out of this hole, or do we now see the future in it? With no Bo, there's no hope for Denver.
I think with no Bo, there's no hope right now for them. I got a feeling that game's going to be like 34-17, 41-17, somewhere in there. Like, I don't think this is going to be close. I think New England's going to make their trip back to the Super Bowl.
If Bo would have been playing, I'd have said the Broncos won. I don't know a score there, but with no Bo, I think New England it changes the game here. It's going to be close. I mean, it's going to be in Denver's house. If this would have been in New England, I probably would have had a blowout. But the fact that it's in Denver, I'm going to keep it close. I think it could be like a field goal game. I think I could see them win it like 30-27 or something like that. It'll be a field goal game. And then if Bo had
played, I would have said 27-24 Denver.
Okay, you just still kept it a field goal game. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll say 30-27, and we get a 49 rematch, and y'all can get redemption after what happened the last time y'all played each other in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it would be nice. I know if we get Patriots Seahawks in the Super Bowl, the weeks leading up are going to absolutely suck for Seahawks fans, because all they're going to talk about and relive is the Malcolm Butler interception. And there'll be so many jokes from the national media like, oh, well, this time will Seattle throw the ball or run the ball instead of throwing it down on the, whatever. They'll come up with a million different ways to spin this. It'll just be nice to get revenge, close it out. And I can guarantee you this, if we're that close, I'm pretty sure Mike McDonald is probably going to run the ball rather than throwing it.
Plus, I would have loved to see a West Coast Super Bowl just to see which fan base is going to bring the most, being y'all both Denver and Seattle a little closer to Santa Clara. Because, yes, Patriots fans can travel too. We've seen it happen. But I think it's going to be like East Coast versus Northwest. East Coast versus West. Or I'm going to say the Northeast versus the Northwest. How about that?
That's fair. Yeah.
Just like that. Well, this was fun. I know I think you said you got another show to get ready for. So
I do.
We're about to wrap this up. But real quick, let them know. I know you brought the whole Seatown in the house. The whole I don't know what y'all call the 12th man arrived. The comments was strictly Seattle fans. So let them know if they're just tuning in for the first time and don't know where to find you, where them and where my people can find you in your show.
Yeah.
Test.
Yeah, if you're looking for Seahawks content, follow me over at the Hawks Eye podcast. You can find me on YouTube, Spotify. You can find me on Twitter at the Seahawks Eye. And there's also a Discord chat. If you're a Seahawks fan, there's a Discord chat, the Hawks Eye, so feel free to pop in over there. Other than that, appreciate you having me on, Haas, and appreciate everyone that hopped on over. And I got another show here coming up in 10 minutes. The Seahawks Syndicate crew getting together. That's myself, Dan Vians of Seahawks Forever, Brandon Kane of the Hawks Nest, and Mookie Alexander, who's the managing editor over at Field Goal. So we're going to hop on all together and do a live show and preview this matchup and since me and Dan and Brandon will be down at Senior Bowl next week, we'll also do a little bit of a Senior Bowl preview at the same time. So if you're interested in that, hop on over there.
By the way, that one of the best running backs right there, old Rod Smart from the XFL.
Yep.
I like it. All right, man. This was great. Thank you again, and thank you everyone for tuning in. We had some viewers tonight, and this was great. Hope y'all enjoy the weekend. Stay warm. Hopefully, y'all can make it to Super Bowl 60. And I'm gonna be watching at home, watching both games. It's gonna be fun, and then ready to do it all over again next week. But thank y'all for tuning in. Bryce, good luck, man, and I'll see you next time, bro.
Thanks for having me, Haas.